Hello and welcome back to another episode of Bums Breakdown. Today we're going over the San Antonio preview, the second time we've done this in, seems like a very short space of time, as always joined by Dylan. We'll go over the last game versus Sacramento Republic. Thankfully, we have not going to play them any more times this season, but we'll see kind of later in the postseason maybe. But Dylan, what did you make of the game? Obviously 1-1 result. I thought pretty good showing, but what do you make of it?
Yeah, I think you said it in the last call after the game. It was probably our best first half performance, especially at home at least. I know we didn't score in the first half, which continues to be a bit of a trouble for us, but we really probably could have. So yeah, I taking a point off Sacramento, I think this season is going to be a great result no matter what. So yeah, room for improvement, of course, but I will absolutely take it.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a weird one too. Obviously, the San Antonio was a kind of a hard-fought comeback. I still think the overall performance there wasn't great. I mean, more so with the first half showing. And like I mentioned there too, as far as kind of getting that early goal, still doesn't seem like we can do that, or at least get the first goal in the game. But definitely, I mean, even the first kind of 20 minutes of pressure we kind of put on the Sacramento, kind of at least some of the attacking kind of passes here and there, they look pretty good. For you, who are the kind of main key standouts in the Sacramento game, though?
Damas, I mean, I thought he had a great game. I know he scored the penalty and won at least the locals man of the match. I didn't happen to notice if he won the club man of the match as well, but I thought he had a great game as well. Did well to create space for himself in the attack and had a good couple of chances. Other than that, Cam Riley he got the start in the defensive line, which I know we didn't necessarily. I don't remember if we predicted that or not, but he had a great game. I think he continues to show, that he's really improving this season. So those were two that really stood out for me. How
I
about yourself?
I think we did. Yeah, we did. So we predicted Cam Riley, Stoneman, and Carl Adams. So the only one there we missed out on was Elijah come back into the team. But yeah, I thought Cam did very well there. I think Carl Adams kind of looked a lot better in the kind of center of that back three. For me, I thought Toomey played great. I think Toomey was more so in that kind of Guido role. Maybe it's more so a Toomey role now. And also, I thought Guido probably one of his best games so far this season. I think he had a few more shots than he had been recently. Driving forward a bit more. I still think definitely not on last year's level. But again, as we say every single week, it's a long old season. Plenty of time to improve and get better. And like I mentioned there too, kind of Darmas Conway. I think Darmas kind of after getting a Player of the Week performance, 2 goals versus San Antonio, get another goal against Sacramento, albeit from a penalty. But I think he's slowly getting his confidence up a bit more and looking more so like his normal self. Going back to the result though, would you say a 1-1 result was a fair result after thinking about everything?
Yeah, I absolutely do think a draw is a fair result there. Credit to John Morrissey for last week being the first person ever on Bums Breakdown to get a prediction correct in his first try. Um, so we're going to keep working on that. But yeah, I thought Sacramento probably had the better of the first half, even though Loyal created some good chances. And like I said, probably our best first half at home this year. But Loyal definitely had the run of most of the second half and probably could have gotten another goal there. I know Sac had a few chances, one big one from Cicerone that he missed, but I would say that a draw was a fair result.
Yeah, I think if you look at that Cicerone miss, you're going to think that Sacramento be kicking themselves for not winning that game. But I will say they kind of sat in a bit more come the end, especially with how they lined up too with Ross in the midfield and not Keko, or they did bring in Keko on at half time to kind of go a bit more attacking in the lineup. But yeah, I think 1-1's a fair result. I do think we could have won the game if we maybe could have created a few more chances. Although I wouldn't kind of go thinking back about it, I don't think there was kind of any clear cut chances. I think we missed. I think it's more so a case of struggling to break down a team who sits in a bit come the end. And again, when you're playing a team like San Diego Loyal who like to keep the ball, like to possess, play it from the back, teams are always going to sit in no matter what anyway. So it really is a case of trying to break them down, figure out the opposition. And I think it's still a learning process. Especially against teams who do sit in and defend for most of the game. But moving into San Antonio, obviously we know a bit more how they play now. Obviously they don't always play the best style of soccer, I will say. More so, I wouldn't say kind of Brexit ball kicking it along all the time, but some great kind of infographics from John Morrissey today as far as kind of how the goalkeeper distribution kind of relates to kind of shots on goal. And San Antonio basically, I think, 90% of the time, Jordan Farr goes long for them. So again, pretty much long balls up top to their kind of big strikers who, again, San Antonio do well when they play that way. And then I think it was possession and shots on target too. I think San Antonio have the least amount of possession on average in the whole league. But obviously last year's USL winners, and they still figure out a way to get a decent amount of shots on target per game, even if they don't possess the ball for that much, which again isn't great for us because we know that San Diego Loyal love to have the ball. Seeing if they don't have the ball, they can still kind of figure out ways to play well there. But going back to that San Antonio game, I mean, are you excited to go into this game? Are you more worried about the matchup? What are your thoughts going into this one?
I would not say I'm at all excited going into this one, even though I think San Antonio at home last year was probably our best single performance last season, 3-0 if you don't remember. But if you won't say Brexit ball, I will, because I don't get a lot of chances to say Brexit ball and have people listen to me. So yeah, they definitely play not the style of soccer that I prefer to watch, but the results are undeniable, and they do score a good amount of goals for a team that plays that way. So clearly they have a formula that works for them. But no, I would not say I'm looking forward to this game. I don't think our games against San Antonio are ever fun. Even the 3-3 draw, 10 days ago or however long ago it was, while exciting, I wouldn't describe that as like a fun game. I just because of the way the games tend to pan out, and also the bad blood that for whatever reason was flying around between the teams last time out, just makes me worried that this won't be a super positive night out for anybody.
Yeah, I've got a feeling, especially after that last one, that there'll be a few kicks kind of chucked around here and there. Maybe some more spitting and punching that Nate Miller did kind of bring up in his post-match interview. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, obviously San Antonio are a good team. I think the main issue is that the kind of matchup works in their favour because, again, they play well against teams who possess the ball. They can kind of sit in and play long, and we all know how well they kind of go from there. I mean, you kind of look back at that Charleston game where they beat them 7-0. I mean, Charleston are flying right now in the Eastern Conference. So I don't know. I think Sacramento is more of an even matchup as far as how both teams play. But San Antonio, again, they love playing against teams like San Diego Loyal, who, again, they're more than happy to sit in, keep the ball, and then kind of make their chances count. Although I will say, I think whoever gets the first goal in this game probably goes on to win it, or at least kind of has a better result come the end, which, again, not very often that we get that first goal. So, like I said, I don't know if it's going to be a game that I'm looking forward to, but we'll obviously see after how the result goes come the end. But if you look back to their lineup in the last game, Dylan, do you want to walk us through how they lined up last time out against us?
Sure, yeah. So I think it's probably fair to say that the way they lined up last time is probably our best guess as to how they'll line up this time. I know in their last game against El Paso, Adeniran did come in and actually score because Oluwase was suspended because of his second yellow against Loyal, which we're not going to delve into. But I do expect that Oluwase will come back in. His goal scoring numbers are like pretty ridiculous in the games he has scored or played rather. And Justin Dillon, though he hasn't scored in the last few games, is just like a very crucial part of how Alan Marcina likes to play. So I do think we'll see Dillon and Oluwase up top, starting from the front this time. I know we always start at the back. And then in the midfield, we'll probably see Abu and Zahir and Hernandez. Zahir will definitely kind of get more forward like we talked about last time. And then the back line, I would expect the back five to be from left to right: Gomez, Batista, Garcia, Tainter, and Maloney. And then Jordan Farr, of course, in net. One of the best defenses in the league and one of the best goalkeepers, even though he did have a rough game out against El Paso and had quite a howler for El Paso's first goal.
Yeah, I'm hoping he continues. I obviously know how good Jordan Farr is, so I wouldn't be against him kind of choosing to have another bad night as well. But obviously, like I said, they're kind of playing more of a 5-3-2 into kind of a 3-5-2. They do press high and aggressively at times. I mean, obviously, they did very well against us. Although if you look back at the goals they scored, I mean, you've got one goal from Zahir, who came from a very outlandish free kick. Another one came to kind of a mix-up in the box from Duran as well. So, I don't know. If we can kind of cut out the mistakes, I think we'll be all right. But again, it's really tough to go off the last game because they played with 10 men for 70 minutes of that game. So it wasn't a true San Antonio. And no doubt they'll be kind of coming for blood this game after kind of giving up a 3-goal lead as well. But really going off the last game, I mean, who were the stand-up players you think from San Antonio? And I think who are you kind of, I guess, most worried about in this game on Wednesday?
Well, I think my answer to both of those questions would be the guy I just spent a little bit of time talking about. Tani Oluwase has, I think, scored something like 5 goals or 6 goals in 5 games or something like that. I honestly, and I mean this is no disrespect to anybody in the USL, but I genuinely think the guy is above the USL championship level. He just seems like he's got an edge on everybody. So he's somebody that worries me. But then the whole back line, too, I know I talked about this in our episode about San Antonio last time. They just are such a solid defense, not only tactically good, but just physically really imposing. And Mitchell Tainter, I mean, he's a goal scorer. He's a great defender. And he was fired up and pissed last time we played them. If you watch Damas's second goal at the end of the game, you can see him absolutely going bonkers after it goes in. So I expect he'll be super fired up. So yeah, Tainter would be my other answer there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just like saying Oluwase's name, honestly, right now. But
I
yeah,
do.
he's
I'm nailing it.
I mean, you're doing pretty well, honestly. I'm trying to copy how you're saying it so I get it right here. But even Zuhair as well, I mean, he's another one I think, again, they've got plenty of players here I think could compete for some of the best players in the whole of the USL. I will say it's almost a shame they play the way they play. But end of the day, if you're a team, you're getting results, you don't really care. I mean, you're going to have kind of soccer purists here and there that want to play like a good style of soccer. I mean, obviously, you've got Joe Morrissey who loves how we play, and I wouldn't say he hates the San Antonio play, but it's not a team that you want to watch for good soccer. But they get results, they get goals, and they're good at it. I mean, they won the USL last year playing the same way. So, again, we'll see how it goes, but it's a tough matchup for us, really. And I know we've touched on it beforehand. Again, big physical team, plenty of kind of star players in that team as well who, like I said, can definitely play at a high level. So, I'm a worried, yes. I'm looking forward to it a little bit, but like I said, it'll be a good game no matter what. I think I'd rather be a neutral watching Wednesday's game than a fan of either team, if I'm being completely honest. And then moving into our lineup here, I know I guess we've been getting close and then slowly moving away. Obviously now Koke's back in goal. I think it's fair to say that he's going to be starting in there. But as far as the back three goes, how do you think it's going to line up in the game with San Antonio? Obviously, I know Stoneman did have the suspension, got taken away, so he's good to play now. I know he didn't start in the last game. How do you think that back three is going to line up in the game on Wednesday?
So, like you said, Koke's back. So we are just assuming he's in then. I actually personally am going to go bold, and I know we didn't really have too much of a chance to discuss this beforehand, so feel free to tell me if you don't agree. But I think off the back of Camden's fantastic performance, I think that Camden will play in the back line, and Stoneman and Adams will be the other two. Probably Adams on the left, Stoneman in the middle, Riley on the right. And that would allow Elijah to finally play wingback again, and also, Nick Moon coming back from suspension. So that's what I guess I'm going idealistic here. That's what I would maybe like to see. I don't know. What do you think?
To be honest, I'm not going to be, I'm going to copy you exactly, but I thought the same thing before this. I do think just having those kind of bigger back three helps with a big physical team like San Antonio. And I think with the added kind of defensive ability of Elijah as a wing back is going to help. I know we saw with Sacramento's goal. I'm not going to blame Adrian Perez really on the goal they had. But positioning wasn't great there, and kind of a free man with Viada coming in. So I'd be happy to see kind of a back three of Riley, Stoneman, and Carl Adams, and then obviously Moon coming back from suspension, and then Elijah as the other fullback. And then moving into the midfield, I know it's a tough one. I think obviously was Corona out injured in the last game, so we had Colin, Guido, and Toomey in the middle. So I don't know. I mean, we can't really speak on injuries and whether players are coming back from injury or not. But how would you line up that midfield three or two, depending on how we play?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we can't really assume that someone will be back or won't be back. I would love if Corona and Charlie were back, but we can really go off what we know, and that's it. So, yeah, I think we'll probably see Guido, Martin, and Toomey again in the midfield. Like you said earlier, Toomey had a good game. Guido, I actually thought quietly had a good game. He was tasked with a little more defensive work than he has been in the past, but maybe putting him a little bit deeper, giving him the space to drive forward, actually brought a little bit more out of him. And then Colin, I think he's started to get back to the Colin that we know and love. He maybe still isn't at his best form, but I trust him again in there. So yeah, I think we'll see the same midfield three.
Yeah, and I think maybe with Guido too, the fact he's kind of been tasked with a bit more defensive responsibility, maybe that's why we've not seen, I guess, more of the kind of box-to-box attacking threat that he had last year. Kind of playing with Colin and Charlie in the midfield to kind of give him that kind of, I guess, leeway to push forward and kind of free roam a little bit. So we'll see there, but I did think Toomey play well in that role. I think his kind of defensive awareness was kind of good in the midfield, and I think we don't really speak about Toomey's defensive abilities very often. I don't think we've already touched on that before. But it looked good in there. Maybe that's his new role, especially I think primarily Toomey's a winger, but the fact is we don't play with a winger in our formation, so he's going to kind of fit in there somewhere. But I think he did well in there, especially going forward. And then front two, I know right now, essentially, I mean, if you want to chuck Perez in the kind of shout for a spot on those front two, but I guess more so he's going to be as a wing back going forward. So that really leaves us with Darmus, Conway, and Collier with Toomey in the midfield. So out of those three of Darmus, Conway, Collier, who do you think we're going to go with those front two?
I think I, for the first time this season, can feel comfortable in saying that both Domus and Conway have played their way into being nailed on starters. Domus has scored 3 goals in his last 2 games. Some of them have been pretty scrappy, but uh, even I think we said it earlier. Even aside from his goal against Sacramento, he played really well, got himself into some great spaces. So he's finally, I think, hopefully finding his stride. And then Conway didn't have his best game against Sacramento, but we've sung his praise before, and I think he's just such a crucial cog of what we do in attack. So until something else changes, I would like to continue to see Conway and Damas. And you've alluded to it in past episodes. Collier's best performances have actually been off the bench, so maybe it's best to keep him there for when he can come on against tired legs in like 65th minute anyway.
Yeah, super sub Conway. It's not Conway, Collier. There we go, super sub Collier. But yeah, I think Darmus Conway, the front two partnership is, I would say, almost nailed on now going forward too. So we'll see how they do. But then kind of moving into kind of the key matchups and questions here, kind of the key storylines. I think similar to the last game too, as far as kind of can we deal with San Antonio's physicality. I think the beginning of last game against them, we didn't deal with it. Obviously after that, the kind of 20 minutes of red card, they had to sit in, didn't really attack too much, and there was a few kind of counter-attacks here and there. But I think it's also hard to kind of judge how San Antonio play off the last game versus us. We didn't see the true San Antonio for most of the game then. So, I'm curious to see how it's going to look like this one if they keep 11 men on the field for the whole game. So, I wouldn't mind chucking on a red card here or there for either team this one if I'm a better man. And then also here, as far as building up from the back, I mean, San Antonio are more than likely going to happy to sit in for most of the game at times, but again, we all know kind of how well they press with those attackers in there. And then really, do we see anything different from Nate tactically? I think we've kind of I've chucked this question in here a few times here and there, but finally in the last game there was somewhat of a back four against Sacramento. So I'm curious to see if we see more of that from Nate. Kind of change things up here and there. Kind of maybe going for a goal late on, going with the back four. I think kind of allows us to play a little bit differently at times. And then really, I mean, can we get an early goal? Can we be the better team? And can we beat really a title contender in San Antonio? But anything else from you? Anything you want to add as far as kind of I guess the key storylines and matchups for this game go?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add really is can we keep our heads cool? I know that things almost got a little bit out of hand in San Antonio a couple weeks ago. And I know that Loyal at times in the past, most notably the playoff game last year, have lost their heads a little bit when pushed. So I would like to see the mental resiliency from the team I know we've seen it in terms of the on the field play. The comeback in San Antonio is a prime example of that. But I want to see the maturity too. Like if somebody San Antonio is going to come in hot, they're probably going to be trying to get under our skin. If we can just ignore that and do our thing, I'm very confident that we can get a result. But just another to build on what you said, the scoring first I think is going to be colossal. I think you said it earlier. Whoever scores first in this game, I think if there's a winner, the first scorer will be the team that is the winner.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting too if we do get that early goal, how we kind of, I guess, attack it as far as do we sit in? Do we keep trying to play the way we're going to play? And I am curious to see how we kind of do play, seeing out a game against a team like San Antonio, where I don't think we've kind of had to do that really in a close game so far. I mean, again, we haven't been in the lead for that long in these games. We've always been the team coming back. And I wouldn't mind kind of getting an early goal and at least not being frustrated for about 70 minutes of the game, only to kind of leaving the stadium happy. So we'll see there. But yeah, it's going to be a huge matchup. I think keeping the heads is going to be key. And I know even Guido, before the season started, I think he was on a podcast. It might have been even the Emo Brown podcast, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that is the one, yeah.
Speaking about kind of maturity and kind of even mentioning that playoff game too against Oakland, as far as kind of everyone losing their heads and things going south very quickly. But again, moving into the favourite part, or at least my favourite part, predictions. Dylan, I'm curious as to what you go with here. Obviously, we mentioned that John Morrissey got the first prediction right the season. We've been doing this now. This is the 15th episode. John's been on one episode and got one correctly, and we've been on 14 and got absolutely nothing. So maybe if we taking some advice from Johnny, we might get a little bit closer. But Dylan, what are you going with today?
Yeah, so if you never see John back on the show, that would be why. he went and showed us up the first time in. I don't know. I'm kind of I could see this one going a couple of ways, and I know I said that very sarcastically last time we discussed San Antonio. But I'm feeling good, and I think I'm gonna go 3-1 for Loyal. I am gonna go out on a limb and say we do get that early goal, whether it's a good bit of play, a set piece. Maybe we just get lucky. I don't know. I'm feeling good. I think, the last two games have had their own share of adversity, especially the San Antonio game. But the Sacramento game too, I think we really played well. And I don't know that it is even like the ceiling of how well we could play. I mean, obviously it's not. We only scored one goal. So I feel like we might be on the tip of finding something here. So I'm obviously being a little hopeful here. But anyway, I think the team can build from what we've been working on. So I'm going to go 3-1. I recognize that that's a little hopeful. I'll go Damas again, Conway with a brace. And for San Antonio, I will go Oluwase, just so I can say his name again.
Okay. I'm gonna go 2-1. I think I've got to be optimistic here. I don't want to kind of, again, this game could go well for us. It could also go very badly after we kind of just saw the start in the last game. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to say Damas comes up big, gets 2 goals. And then for them, I'm probably going to go with... We'll go with Mitchell Tainter from a set piece. I know we've not been great defending set pieces, so I'll go with that. But yeah, really, whoever gets the early goal is going to go on, I think, to win the game. If the team who scores the first goal keeps 11 men on the pitch. But no doubt will be a very kind of a good game tactically, as far as how Nate lines up, as far as how we kind of deal with a team that plays Brexit ball. And against a very physical team, where I don't think we are, I guess, that physical, more of a possession-based team, kind of very cautious with the attack. So I can't wait. Another kind of midweek game under the lights, midweek as well, kind of break up the week. But we'll see. But anything else to add before we wrap things up here?
Not too much. I want to reiterate again on the team needs to show some maturity. And I know this is the part of the show where I usually give some love to the away team. But yeah, that'll wrap up my thoughts.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. It's been interesting with the old social media with San Antonio fans. Again, I think if I'm a San Antonio fan, I'd be somewhat aggrieved how that last game went, especially with the red card and maybe some decisions here and there. But this is not the show for me to be neutral and not show bias to one team or the other. So
Exactly.
we'll see how it goes. But again, another locals last call after the game on Wednesday. And then a big old break before our next game, who is going to be versus, let me have a look here on the old calendar. Next one after this is going to be Pittsburgh Riverhounds on Saturday, June 24th, away at Highmark Stadium, possibly one of the nicest backdrops to a stadium in the USL. We'll be back for another Bums breakdown there. But as always, we'll see you after the game on Wednesday. And appreciate you watching or listening, and we'll see you soon.